All right, weather hasn't been very cooperative for us. It was we did wash it last night, but as you can see, there's lots of mud. So I'm not going to do. I can re-video it if you like. Although this frame is beautiful, but I just want to show it to you as if you were here in person, as I do with all of our frames. And anybody that's looking for a frame, this is what I would tell you all to do. First, obviously, check the company out you're working with. Look at the reviews. I think that speaks volumes, not only for us, but for others. And then also, you know, you're buying a big item, an expensive item, I would always recommend getting a video. So what we're going to be talking about here is a 9706 Wrangler TJ 6-cylinder frame. They are different than the 4 cylinders, but just slightly. The areas that these things like to rust is these back horns up over the axle. We scope all of our frames on this particular order. This is actually a pre-sold frame. This particular order, we had another frame picked out, and it had a spot on it, and I did a video of it, and it was right at the control arm mount. It can be fixed, but when I scoped that frame, I noticed that the inside was starting to get where you got some surface rust, and started the integrity of the metal was starting to deteriorate. So that one getting fixed would be re-welding it, and then getting in there with a sandblaster, which is a little difficult to do just because it's a kind of a blind hole. Cleaning it out the best you can, and then getting a rust neutralizer, and then getting something like a Pore 15 put into it. So that one's definitely going to be available down the road. But I, you know, when we sell a grade A frame, I expect what we send you is that, and I expect you to expect that on the way back. So, or on your side as well. So anyway, without further ado, I'll go over it, and I'll just get close up, and you can zoom in on these videos, right? So one area that always leaches out is this spot here. It's pretty common. You got a little bit of oxidation on our frame, but there's absolutely no surface, nothing layered, anything like that. Actually, a lot of times it's the belly pan itself that goes. So, and I know you're going to ask, well, what about the belly pan and the gas tank skid? Because that was supposed to be, yes, those, I have those, and I have some really clean of those guys. Matter of fact, there's a gas tank skid right there, but I have several of those in the back. I just don't have them up here right now. And I can get you photos of those too as well. But the frame is the main concern. So, okay. And then this again is the area that likes to rust in it. You got something on our frame. We don't doctor these up in any way, right? So what you're seeing here is exactly the way it was pulled off, except for we wash them. And, you know, again, browning of the metal is common when paint wears off. We don't have salt on our roads. That's why our frames don't rust away. Okay, now, that doesn't mean there's no salt in Colorado, but by and large, 90% of the state is saltless. The areas that you find salt are usually the ski towns and the ski resort areas, which there's none around us. So, but, okay, getting up close and personal to it, getting under the pockets. This is all factory paint. It's not shiny black. Sometimes we get them like that, but it's all, I mean, this is all original paint that came off from the assembly line. So I always like to show underneath the rubber just to show you that how clean these are. All the holes here for your frame mounts are perfect. Okay, and a lot of times when those start getting oblong and looking, okay, all the way up to the front one, this one almost always gets all kind of deteriorated on a rusty frame. Okay, all through here, beautiful. And again, your other coil perch or coil bucket, I guess you could call it, here. Okay, so what would you do here? Pretty simple. Just get it painted. I mean, you really can, you can sandblast it if you like to. Some people do go to that extent. Get it, use something on it that will neutralize, you know, even the oxidation. I mean, yeah, it wouldn't hurt you to wire wheel it down, but Rust-Oleum makes a really good product that self-etches. So, I mean, we've had really good results with that stuff. Okay, so that's what I want to show you on that. And then I'm going to flip her over here. Actually, I'm going to stand it upright because I don't really have the room to flip it. It's okay, Jerry. We'll just flip it up right here against the forks. I can show you the top side. She'll sit there for a second. Yeah. Oh, she didn't. Oh, she's going to slide. That one's going to come out. Let's see if we can kick it over to your side just a little bit. There we go. Perfect. All right, that should hold her. And then once I'm done with her, we can just put her in the back until my load. So on that note, I'll explain that in a second. I do have a load coming up that I'm going to be taking. I wasn't planning on it, but we have a couple frames and tubs that are going into Canada. And because those ones are a little bit logistically difficult to do, frames are easy, tubs are easy, but since there's 2 of them going to one guy, it makes freight just a little bit different on them. I thought, you know what the heck, I'll take it up. So, okay, there's your cross member on your top. All right, now, well, there's welded nuts on these guys. That one's still intact there, but not in great shape. There's something online called a T-bar eliminator. And for your customer, they're not very expensive. Oh, that broke off, just thought it would. I didn't think, ouch. Okay, there's a poor, this was a poor design. You can re-weld nuts if you'd like. I would recommend doing the T-bar eliminator, and it will prevent the customer from ever having issues when they go to replace their shocks. That's one of the areas, even on a beautiful frame, that when somebody, and usually like this one, you can see when somebody's pulled those shocks off, those are probably broken loose and they've had to cut the shock bolts off. So, okay, top of the coil buckets are in good shape. Back subframe, back cross member all the way down. Again, it was cleaned up. I apologize, it's a little muddy right now, but it was, again, scoped already, measured. We always measure frames, even if they come off of an unwrecked Jeep, because you just don't know where the course of that Jeep's life been. We buy unwrecked Jeeps 99% of the time out here. We very, very seldom will buy something that's been wrecked or severely at all. Sometimes fender benders, but nothing major. But we still measure them. And we always run Carfax. And the reason we run Carfax, not so much accidents, because you're not always going to see an accident. We're mainly looking for where that Jeep has spent its life. If it's been at all anything like a year, 6 months, doesn't really matter. East of us, so Kansas and all the way to the East Coast, Northeast, we won't touch them. There's just too much of a chance that something comes out of it. Now, that one I just did, that Sahara, that was a beautiful frame, or a beautiful Jeep, the Colorado Jeep. I know where it came from Grand Lake, which just happens to be a ski area. I knew there was a chance with that one, but it was such a clean body. I didn't think we'd get into it and see anything, but unfortunately on that one, it did come back. So, and like I said, I told you before on the phone, and anybody that's watching this one more time, just, you know, we under promise and over deliver. That's what we want to do. I'm going to be the one delivering this thing to you. It's my face that shows up. It's not some, you know, and normally it is a driver, but still there's accountability there. And we have kind of a white glove service with our drivers that we use. We've used those guys for a long time. So, all right. So Jeremy here again, Jeeps Unlimited PartsBreakers.com, 303-666-9020. If you're looking for a frame, I'm pretty much out of frames at the moment for TJs. I have a couple 4-cylinder frames out there, but I don't have any 6-cylinder frames left at the moment. Now, hopefully that will change here soon, but these are getting harder and harder to get every month that goes by. It used to be every year, but every month. We have a good deal of YJ frames at the moment. We have some decent selection of CJ7 frames, and I may have an LJ frame here in about 2 weeks. So otherwise, we have a good amount of tubs that are kind of a variety of years. We've got some YJs, got some TJs, no LJ tubs at the moment. We have one CJ7, beautiful tub, and then we're out of our 5 tubs, I think. We sold the last one of those yesterday. So, okay. And then one other thing, I'll just give you a quick little, I got to get down to the flower store before my wife gets home because she made me cookies this morning for Valentine's Day. I'm only going to insert this in there. I normally don't do stuff like this, but it's because we don't normally sell Jeeps whole. So this is I think it's a 99, which is one of the best years you can have a TJ. It's the last year they had the distributor motor. It's got, I think, 140 on it, 143, somewhere in there. Brand new soft top. It's a Sahara. It's black. 100 and, like I said, 143. It's got a brand new transmission, AX15 in it. We put that in. Good compression motor, something we always do if we do ever sell a vehicle whole. It's got some we just polished this thing, but it's dust from when he polished it. And he's painting the hood. So if you're wondering where the hood is, that's where it is. Okay. Again, Sahara, that's the green seats. You have the uppers for these, they'll close in. I'm only putting this out there because this is a beautiful rust-free 6-cylinder Sahara Jeep. They're hard to find. Clear title, clean title. I have some different wheels I was going to throw on it, wheels and tires, unless you like these. But this one is going to be available for sale. And just like our pre-dismantle, we give you a little break on that. Our pre-sale is always a little bit cheaper on buying a Jeep whole from us than it is when I get it fully done. Obviously, you're still going to want to see it when it's done. It's just like that thing, right? But like when I mean done, meaning the windows are put on and sound like a cat. Maybe the cat's over here right now. Maybe not. Anyway, so I know you're going to want to see it when it's all said and done. That's fine. But I have it marked at a smoking deal right now as it sits. And as it sits, meaning all that stuff that I mentioned done on it. Once we get it completely done, cleaned up, and actually listed, it'll be about $5,000 more, maybe even more, because TJs are pulling really, really good money, especially for low miles like that is. And if you want hard doors, I can paint a set. I have a couple sets, just no black. And if you want a top, I can do that as well. That would not be included in that price. I'm not even going to put that out right now because it really just changes daily on what, you know, when he finishes the hood and whatnot. But if you call me on it sooner than later, like I said, I'll work you out a smoking deal on that thing, and we'll move it down the road, make somebody happy on it, and we'll move on to the next project. And again, we mainly do Jeep parts out here, so I don't want anybody getting confused with that. It just so happens every once in a while we'll get something in that's just too clean apart. There's actually 2 CJ7s up here. We'll drive by them because I got to go get flowers. I'll just do a slow drive-by. Oh, and I got to get my wallet, which is the whole reason I came down here. Anyway, we have an 84, I believe, and then an 85. One's a rolling chassis that was just painted. Painted a couple years ago. Just they never finished. Both of them came out of California. Both are 100% rust-free. Both clean titles. All original on one, and then one's been modified a little bit. And I'll show you those here. Here's my casa, nice and warm. Okay. Close the door so all the heat doesn't run out of there. Check this out. I'll show you something else kind of cool. This office is an absolute mess right now. So behind this mess, there's a whole Jeep, half of a Jeep, I should say. 1974 Jeep CJ5. That one, why would I cut something like that? Even because that's actually in pretty good shape. Well, that one had a tree fall on the right side. And an old guy that I have been working with for parts in his 90s. This is about, I don't know, 15 years ago, almost right after I'd been doing it for about 5 years. He said, I got this beautiful CJ and da-da-da. Anyway, I got up there and I'm like, well, it's beautiful on one side, but it's tree felling. He goes, well, I'm not going to charge you anything for it. I'm like, I wouldn't even taken it, to be honest with you, because it was so damaged on one side. But he said at the time we were in Erie, in Denver, and he said, you know, you have that Jeep on the building, and we were in the process of buying this place. He goes, why don't you take it and do something like you did in Erie with the Jeep on the building? So we didn't have any place to put on the building. This building on the building, so we just decided to do that during COVID. So here's that. This is the gray one. This is a California one. I think it's an 84, if I'm not mistaken, or 85. All original, really clean, loaded. It's I think it's a Renegade or Laredo, one of the upper trim packages. Okay, and then this bad boy here. Now, this one's just a chassis right now. There's no drivetrain in it, although we have a drivetrain. We have a couple options on this guy. I was going to keep this one. It happens to be our company colors, but for the right price, I'd let that one go as is, or I'll finish building it. I have a brand new in crate blueprint motor. Blueprint, I think it's whatever that company name is. Crate motor. We got it in on a trade, but it's still in the original crate. The guy we got it from, ended up going a different direction. And it's a 383 GM stroker. So, okay, that's it. Thank you for hanging out with me today and checking out our yard as I peel out of here. I got 7 acres, rust-free, and we are heading to Toronto via probably I-80. I have a drop to make in Kansas City. I'm gonna buckle up here before I hit the highway. I'm actually on the fire department, so that would not be good to pull out. Seatbelt on. And keep my example, right? Anyway, we have a load coming up, and I leave the end of next week for Denver first. That's my first stop. That's just 4 hours from us. And then I'll continue on my way to probably to Kansas City, and then I'll shoot up and do my Chicago drops. And then we have, I don't know, about 9 items going to Michigan. I don't have a lot of deck space left, but I have a little bit. I have another probably 2 or 3 tubs space, and then frames are easy. We can stack those. I just ask people to make sure they have a way to unload it, whether it be a forklift, a tractor. You know, if we don't get too high, we can do it by hand, but we need a couple people to do it. And I always do flat rate all of my trips. For the last 15 years, I do $500, whether you order 1 item from me or whether you order 20 items. Doesn't matter, okay? Obviously, I wouldn't have room for 20 items. I have to make another trip, but just keep that in mind, all right? This is our little town, and it's cloudy out today, which is a bummer because it was like 70 degrees the other day. Actually went dirt bike on that day. So, well, thanks for hanging out with me. Like I said, I get a little tangenty, so have a great weekend. And if there's somebody in your life, make sure you buy some flowers for them. Otherwise, go buy yourself some flowers. Take care.